everybody. Welcome to
Computer AF, the
UAF.
first show of the year. It's got that fresh, new, hopeful feeling.
Yeah, yes, indeed it does.
What's amazing is that when that calendar turns over, I become a new person.
Completely
Yes.
nothing like the way I used to be with none of the same old. Like, I suppose, we should probably immediately go to our New Year's resolutions. And then when both of me, when I was asking you about that, and when we were talking about that, you kind of both were like, yeah, we're just working on the same stuff that we've been working on, which is
I've had the same ones for like 10 years, and I'm not actually kidding. So one is always do your best.
the
Um,
stuff we learned in
because
kindergarten, we're still figuring out.
kind of borrowed that from the Four Agreements.
Yeah.
Kind
Oh,
of borrowed that.
don't take
Um,
anything personally. Yeah, but
right.
remember what the other three were.
Yeah, there's a lot of I like the Four Agreements. That's a great book. The other one is do what you love,
Hmm.
because sometimes I don't, and sometimes we all have to do things we don't love to get through life, but I try to focus on things I actually want to do, especially at work.
Hmm.
And then the other one, which has been a resolution, I think about 10 plus years, stay awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're succeeding with that, so why do you even have to keep on
Oh,
doing
thank you.
that one?
Well, I'm more of the school of thought that New Year's resolutions are a chance to aspire to things, not to say things like, I'm gonna quit drinking Diet Coke. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, let's be reasonable. There are certain things that we shouldn't even be resolutions at all. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like putting arbitrary rules in place that are gonna make you feel bad about yourself. Like, I don't have it all the time. I don't really keep it in my house. Usually, this is leftover from Christmas, and it's also caffeine free. So there's not a lot of reward in this for me.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy it. So,
I think it's really good. I mean, it's good to create goals that are reasonable, number one, and then on your way to the reasonable, New Year's resolution goal, you should celebrate little small victories along the way. Like maybe for most of today, I didn't do X or was able to do more of X, whether it's vegetables or something, some
mhm,
crazy thing like that. Or for entrepreneurs, it's even more difficult because they might have so many things that are competing for their attention and time, and so it's hard to work on personal
mhm,
things. But I wrote an article about Quitter's Day for Entrepreneur. They're like, hey, John, this is a thing 2 weeks in, like the second Sunday or something like that is considered Quitter's Day because statistically most people quit whatever New Year's or they fall off the wagon for whatever New Year's resolution they had going on at that point. And so I wrote about that. And that was one of the key things is the don't be so hard on yourself, which is one of definitely always an ongoing resolution for I know for both me and you, because we're both high achieving perfectionist type folks a lot of times. Yeah, and celebrate the small victories is the other thing because like I mentioned, you can come part of the way on your, to get to where you want to get to. And if you're too hard on yourself, you never even end up looking at the whole entire thing like you were doing a great job, when in fact you were doing a great job. You
well,
were
exactly. I think that's a great point, a really great point. And I had that advice recently from, of all people, my physical therapist said, what are you doing this weekend? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna try and clean my whole house and empty all my closets out and reorganize them. And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Here is number one, what I hear is your physical therapist. Number one, you're gonna hurt yourself. Number two,
you're going to undo everything we've been working on. Great. Yeah.
yes. Number two, you're not gonna probably do all those things you've been saying you're gonna do for this infinite amount of time. So instead, why don't you say, I'm gonna clean, one of my nightstands or one drawer in the kitchen or two drawers in the kitchen. And
Yeah.
then you can achieve that safely, and then you can feel good about it, and then you can know that you're not um you're not setting yourself up to fail, because
Totally.
I have two nightstands in my room.
Yeah.
If I get one of those, yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
But stuff accumulates when you live in a house. Your things accumulate, and so you just have to kind of make that time. So I
Yeah.
thought that was great advice because every weekend I was like, this is the weekend I'm going to be a new person and I am going to do all these things. And it's also okay to ask for help. Like I have a friend and neighbor who's an organizer. So I was planning on getting her enlisted in some of these bigger projects that just, I have a room I call the shame room in my house, and I'm not kidding.
Which of the three bedrooms is that?
It's the garage. It's like the
Oh, it's the
garage.
garage. I know it well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I call it the shame room. Yeah. So anyway, but that's a good positive start to the year for us, I think, to
Yeah.
say, okay, maybe don't beat yourself up. And I also read recently too that we're sort of obsessing over our homes more because we're in them more.
Mm.
We're how many years into this pandemic? Is it over? I don't know. But we're
Right.
people are kind of wanting to declutter almost to an obsessive point because you're staring at the stuff. So you're facing it more. So you want to get rid of it. And that's a fair point.
Yeah, no,
Um,
for sure. I had a coach one time and he said, just schedule out 20, 30 minutes, put 20, 30 minutes on the schedule, go do the thing for 20, 30 minutes, and then just drop it. But you always know that you did the thing.
that's good advice too. I think the idea is like try to do stuff, but do snack size. Just how
Yeah.
you know how to grab a snack. Like I sure do. I love that. Grab a snack. Just think of it that way, but for like doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And preferably, have a snack while you're doing the snack. Yeah, chocolate is good stuff.
So speaking of doing things, there's one thing I haven't done since the pandemic, and that is CES.
Yeah, CES. I mean, we were prepping for that and you sent me an article and it's one of those articles that, where they're constantly updating with the latest one, like which you usually
Just
see like
7 pages.
yeah, it just goes down and down. You can scroll forever and it's like you're going past vacuum cleaners and robots and, keyboards and it's just like but with CES, things have changed. I mean, I know in the past we used to go quite a lot. And I know, even up until recently, you have been going somewhat often. I mean, it sort of falls into line with sort of your profession these days, which is talk about tech things. So it makes sense. But at the same, but at the same time, it's overwhelming, right? So,
Well, there's the elements that you're fighting against in Vegas. I have only been
oh
back
yeah.
to Vegas once in the last 4 years, and that was to go to the NAB show because I was speaking. And we had a good time. I took my husband. We had a good time, but it was just sort of like, ooh, this got even more expensive. I think I paid $9 for a bottle of Fiji water.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh man. So it sort of accelerated the expense of it. And for me, I think the timing of it is on one hand, it's awesome way to kick off the year, but unless I have unless I have a client going or a business reason, I don't know. I say that maybe next year I'm going to be running to it, but I always did the
Yeah.
thing where I'd run a hospitality suite, and
Yeah. Those were great.
people would come to me, which I always loved. And there were years I had demos no one else had because I was like, "Hey, come rest your feet. I have drinks, da da da, snackies," and that was always the best way to do it because people were like,
Sense of
"Oh yes,"
theme here, snackies.
because I always, or the Venetian or the Palazzo, and so
Yeah.
people are right there already. So you kind of got the foot traffic, and so that was always what I like to do, and I probably will do it again. I just haven't been compelled to weather the elements of it. And it is overwhelming to some degree unless you're there with a team to try and see it all,
Oh,
the
yeah.
show floor. Um, but it's really fun though.
Yeah.
It can be very fun. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm actually missing it. But
Yeah.
I remember always asking people when I was into it, "Are you going? Are you gonna go?" And there are always people who are like, "No," because it's just like South by Southwest. It's like, is the party still going? Is it going for you?
I just had a conversation with a reporter friend at a publication, shall remain nameless, and she was like, "So, are you going to do CES this year?" I'm like, "No, no, not doing CES this year." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm very happy that I am not doing it this year." Because in the past, they had to go every year. It was kind of their Super Bowl. I mean, it was
Yeah.
definitely a Super Bowl for some of these tech publications online, but they're having, her publication, not as many reporters going to it this year. The ones that aren't staying as long or are being given a little more to do because they're just sending less people there. And so there's, in general, I think there's just a consensus that it's not as big of a deal as it once was. Although when you go there, like you said, it's probably going to be,
You
huge.
get swept into it.
Because
Well,
it's big. It's so big.
the last year that I believe that I went was 2019, and I went alone. It was the only year I ever went without staff, and I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Because I was free. I didn't have to discuss with everybody what time we're doing this or that. I just sort of floated and drifted, and that was like, I always thought, oh, you need help, you need other hands, but it was actually amazing and liberating. And in that was the same time I achieved my dream of going on the news during CES. So I did
Yeah.
a segment on Fox in Vegas, which is a lovely station. They have a very weirdly beautiful waiting room, but that the Property Brothers designed. And I got to go on that station, and so it was like check, check, check. Like that was my goal for CES, and I'd done it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I left it on a high note, but I've noticed though when you ask people, are you doing CES? The answer is usually, and if it's no, it's an emphatic no, like a oh
Yeah.
hell no. Versus South by Southwest, you ask people and they go, oh, I wish I could. I don't know. Maybe. People always want to say maybe to me because they can't quite admit. So it's interesting though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when it comes to CES also, one of the things I learned when we were reviewing the different things that are going on there, you sent me some different articles. I was like, well, there still are some interesting things going on at this year's 2024 CES. And one of the ones that you brought up right away, well, there's some that are related to dogs and cats we could get to, but I think the big one, and there's also a sparkly wall, which I want to hear about, which I was kind of hoping you would somehow like have on your wall in the background behind you,
I
but
know, I know. I looked into it. It's $1,000.
what? Okay.
So,
You could start with that one, but get to that. What's it called? Dali, or I forget what.
well, Matic is the robot vacuum that
Oh yeah.
The Verge in their coverage had suck up a spilled thing of milk
Oh,
off
that's
of
right.
and it's basically a next level Roomba in that it doesn't need to map your house. It doesn't need to send a map of your house to Jeff Bezos. And it doesn't need to it doesn't need to like hit something to detect that it's there. So it detects things, and it has like a little bag that you empty. It seems like a little more neat and discreet than the Roomba, but it is like $1,800. So I'm
Not for
gonna
a souped up Roomba. Not for me yet. Anyway, I'm gonna.
yeah, I
Expensive.
mean, my Roomba's getting it done, especially in the mop one. So I'm not. I'm gonna be watching this company though to see, because I think Matic put together a beautiful product, and to pick up straight up liquid is like whoa, because no other robot is doing that right now. And there's a slew of robots and just so many screens, and I always love the screens. There's like I think it was Lenovo or maybe it was Asus had like a double laptop screen that you can fold. There were a couple of those. I mean, there's always gonna be screens at CES. It's kind of like, projections, screens, holograms. Um, the L'Oreal infrared hair dryer also caught my attention because for years I've secretly kind of wanted that Dyson hair
Mm.
dryer because everybody who has it is like, oh, it's so amazing. It doesn't damage your hair. Well, the L'Oreal one, and they're actually like a very low key tech company. You wouldn't know because they're beauty, but L'Oreal has put out some pretty interesting tech products in the last few years. But one of them is the infrared hair dryer, which is inspired by nature apparently, and how rain dries in the environment, and it's supposed to lock moisture into your hair, which if true
Really?
is amazing. Yeah, it's not on the market yet though, because as many CS products aren't.
Yeah.
But their price point is going to be under 400, which is more than we can say for Dyson. So I think if that's true, if everything they say is true, then I think it's going to be a runaway hit
No,
for women.
not to highlight this practice too much, but there are folks out there who uh, create articles on the internet that link back to say your 10 CES gifts for for, or your 10 Christmas gifts, that type of thing, and they link back to the affiliate link of the various products and that type of thing. And once upon a time, I may have been that type of a reporter and might have received a Dyson type of thing in the past, many years ago. Um, but yeah, that's to me always felt like the best way to get access to any of these products. And frankly, that's one of the things that kind of made it a little bit difficult with CES in general, is that, like you mentioned, these are products that aren't available out to the world yet. So you're kind of going and getting a view of all these things that aren't quite practical, so that isn't always a great way to report on them. And that kind of made CES a little difficult sometimes, even though
Well, right. And there's
love it.
always like the jokey stuff, the gimmicky stuff, like weird mommy robots. And I remember one year there were like pantyhose you could take a knife to that we never ever saw or heard from again. I don't know if
Yep.
that existed or if they got bought out, but I like the idea of a one and done pantyhose. Not that a lot of us wear it anymore, but so there's kind of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But then there's the more practical, like the Pobby was another one that caught my eye. It's
Yeah.
a deodorizing like futuristic litter, and it's
Good
very like
kitties, right?
yeah, mid-century modern cat litter, so well designed. The problem is that it's enclosed and not all cats like that, and also
Mm. Yeah.
it's weight limited at 17 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So my big guy, my Siberian,
Yeah.
he would cry. He would like get outside of it and not get in it
Yeah.
and
There's,
then
yeah.
cry.
They're so picky, like, and I know you know this because you've had cats for quite a long time. And it's just like you'll get them something, you'll be so excited that you got them something, and they will sort of not even be interested in the thing that you got them, but be very interested in the box that it came in. And yeah, or a plant, you know.
It's usually the packaging of these things that ends up being. And before I buy something, my thing I've done this last year, I've been better about is I just move around what I already have,
Yes, yes. So
like
that's the
fish in a
smart.
fish tank.
You're a smart cat mom. You know that the secret psychologically to the whole entire thing is just like you know all the secret little things. Move
Well, it
stuff
works on the
around.
dogs. It
Yeah.
also works on the dogs because they're like, what? Because they learn their turf and you mix it around, and then they're like, what? We didn't say
Mhm.
okay to this.
Yeah, no, and you're doing it partly just because you want to have a sort of a new look, a new feel, new atmosphere in your workplace, because a lot of us are working at home nowadays. But you've always been good about that. It's switching furniture around. So, and the cats have always been like, my whole world has changed. Yeah, So it's
You want to make it new, move it. Uh,
yeah, exactly. Well,
so
speaking of making it new, wait, tell me about the Sparkle Wall. I do want to hear the Sparkle.
so it's by a company called Twinkly, and they have different types of light walls. This particular one I was looking at is $1,000, and it's meant for I think somebody who is maybe like a professional stage performer. And there's the ability to have it light up for music. So there's pre-programmed stuff you can do, like, oh, there's a big smiley face that looks like Pac-Man, or here's a, whatever kind of the fun gimmicky stuff. But then they also have, I think the coolest feature would be good for like, your karaoke enthusiasts or people who play music, that it will light up with the music. So
Really?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I thought about it because I'm like, well, this could be fun, but then you don't always want to be backlit
Yeah, for
when
sure.
you're doing meetings. And I think it could also be distracting.
So,
Yes.
but where would you like to go straight next? Straight to sort of the news stuff?
I think we need to give you a chance to really get that 60 seconds in.
Oh, yeah. So Elon.
Starting now, 60 seconds in, Elon.
Yeah, I mean, the latest thing with Elon is that allegedly, oh my God, he took drugs at some point, and it's such a big concern for the people on the boards of the various companies where he works. The thing is I think everyone knows he might have taken a little bit of drugs here and there. He's certainly mentioned over the years that he has friends who've tried, say, ketamine for depression, anxiety, and he said that, because friends have taken it, he knows that it can be helpful for those things. I don't think that that's really the issue, though. I think that's more of kind of a clickbait thing. I think more of the big Elon story this week that gave me pause, trouble for me, which has kind of been a lingering thing too, is the whole kicking reputable journalists off of X, from the Texas Observer, from the Intercept, some people who have uncovered or who don't always journalists who demonstrate that the facts about things in the world aren't always favorable or don't always paint Elon in a favorable light. And he's kicked them off of X, illustrating that perhaps free speech, he's not an absolutist. And I'm done.
Well put. I agree. I free speech for you, no, just for me.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
Well,
be like dictatorial. That's the word.
no, I couldn't agree.
You're gonna be if you're gonna be a little bit of a dictator on your own thing, at least be internally consistent.
Yeah,
Just a
yeah.
thought.
And I've always, of course, the next thing that I would have said would be, I wonder to what extent he knows he's being disingenuous, or does he still somehow not realize that he is being disingenuous? It's sort of an endless marketing thing with him, and it's a little bit difficult to put up with sometimes. But
Well, I have a feeling though he is I'm pretty sure he's on the spectrum. So
yep,
we
yep,
may be assuming he has abilities he doesn't have. That's the thing
that's
is
possible.
not
Yeah,
everybody has the wiring. Um, so that
he is.
will that's the benefit of the doubt we'll give him because it's a new year.
There you go. Smart and kind of you to do that. And yeah, he's definitely neurodivergent in some way. As I mean, frankly, a lot of us are. I have, my own special brand of neurodivergent uh, aspects. So we all have these different things, and that's understandable. Of course, I'm not worth 144 billion and could
Not
solve
yet.
poverty by the end of the month, but, but
That's a good New Year's resolution. Just
it's
all you
exactly.
need to do is get 1 billion a month. Just
Yeah.
start small, poquito.
Un poco de poverty.
Yes.
I don't know what that.
Yes. So speaking of positives, I think there was something you were telling me earlier about a very handsome new prime minister.
I call him the Angel Gabriel. No, his name is Gabriel Attal. He's a new prime minister of France, and he happens to be a gay guy, the first ever gay prime minister of France. And now, and for me, I'll be pretty honest. It's not, it's not a powerful position. Actually, it sounds like it should be, but it's an appointed position. It's a powerful position, but you're sort of the tool of the president. The president appoints the prime minister, and so you're not somebody who wields a tremendous amount of power in that country. It's really all wielded by the president. But anyway, he's 34 and he looks like he should be on the cover of GQ magazine. He probably will be. And he speaks real good, speaks sort of Obama-y, sort of hopey changey kind of a, more general, not too specific kind of a thing when you're sort of this inspirational leader type. And but I think for me, obviously it's not too big of a deal in terms of the power that he wields, but it's a big deal in terms of sort of a cultural touchstone. So I like to bring it up that a gay, the first ever gay prime minister of France, big country. We certainly have not had anything like that in the United States yet that we know of. So maybe someday in the future, maybe Pete Buttigieg or
I was
something.
gonna say, who is the highest ranking political gay or lesbian political
I
person
think,
you've got? It's probably Buttigieg, right?
yeah, I think, what is he? He's the transportation.
Transportation
Yeah, yeah.
secretary. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's the highest, and that's another appointed position as
And
well.
I have no doubt that there have been others that just weren't out
Oh yeah,
over the years. I mean,
yeah.
I think you have to preface it with outwardly, meaning they're saying they are, because I have every confidence there have been previous.
Oh yeah. I've heard. Boy,
Looking
I've
at you, Taft.
looking at you, Tippy Canoe and Tyler too. No, I don't. That was like the first presidential slogan that came to mind from like, let's pick an old timey presidential slogan from 1914 or whatever. I don't know which year that was, but.
I'm amazed that that's something you knew. Okay.
Somebody was like a war hero and his nickname was Tippy Canoe. And then his vice president was Tyler. And so it's Tippy Canoe and Tyler too. And that may have been in the 1800s. Yeah.
You've got my vote.
I think there was an HBO show about it. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of shows, I'm really looking forward to two shows. The new Truman Capote and his Swans, that show I
Oh,
think is going to
interesting.
be excellent, and then the new True Detective.
I'm very much looking
Um,
forward to that
True
one.
Detective with Jodie Foster. I will watch Jodie Foster putting her head in a bag. Like in a paper bag. Like I just love Jodie Foster. Always have, always will,
Same here.
especially as a director.
Oh yeah.
But I absolutely cannot wait for True Detective because I think overall a great series. I will say the Vince Vaughn season weird, but other than that, like all compelling, especially like the Matthew McConaughey one. But the only show I've gotten into since, this year is
So far in these 8 days.
so far this year is the Netflix Fool Me Once. I can recommend. It's one of the top shows right now on Netflix, and um has sort of like those twists and the things you want to see. Um and I got conned into watching those Keanu Reeves movies.
Which
The
one? The Matrix?
no,
The
no,
Speed?
the
The
killy
fighting?
ones. The killy fighty
Billy
ones.
fighting ones. Yes, that those. Yes. John Wick. John
John
Wick.
Wick, yes. I watched the first 3 John Wicks over the holidays and I was like, okay.
They're fun, you know. If you kind of, don't really pay too much attention to the violence so much, you just sort of take it as
Well,
the
you
you
need
know.
to watch the first one if you're going to watch it, especially if
Yes.
you're a dog lover, because you will
Yes.
absolutely see everything I won't spoil it, but everything that happens as a result of what happens in the first one, it feels justified to you if you're a dog lover.
Yeah. No,
So,
and it does. And there's a few other things that happen, but that is the key thing, and that launches everything. So, especially connected with his wife and everything. It's also Keanu Reeves is just a very sympathetic, guy. He's very easy to like. You're so how dare you
easy
be
on
mean?
my eyes, yes.
Yeah.
So what have you been watching?
Well, I just finished The Crown, which I know you got a chance to check out. And I mean, one of the issues that I have with the last couple seasons of The Crown was that Imelda Staunton, the woman who plays the Queen, didn't get quite enough screen time. Well, she started to get more and more, and then got a lot in the last like several episodes, and just really brought it all home and did a good job. And everyone did a good job. A lot of attention was paid to Harry. Of course, there was Diana and what happened with her and everything. But that, they did a really good job. Netflix, whoever ran that show, just really put it together really well, made a very tasteful job on all accounts, and made me sad that it was over and wanted to have more seasons of it. But I don't think that's going to be happening. But and then the other thing that I've been watching is Julia on HBO, which is about the Julia Child, who actually met back in the day when I worked in Santa Barbara at a radio
No
station.
way.
Oh yeah, she was like 90 years old at the time when I met her, but she was still fully all there, walking around with her granddaughter, who was like her manager, handler type person.
Oh, I didn't think she ever had kids.
Yeah. Well, that girl was her granddaughter, as I recall. I thought so. That is a good point, because in the show it made it look like they didn't have kids. Maybe it was a niece. Maybe it was a grand.
Yeah, I mean, someone she had
Yeah.
love for. The
Yeah.
legend, the female legend I met years ago, Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Oh, no way. Did she
She
give
for
you any
sure
good?
has it together. Yeah, I had dinner with her, and she had it going on.
Yeah,
Sharp as a tack.
I bet. Yeah. I
I was
mean,
very impressed with her, and
these
it was like
grand
years ago in
dames,
New York.
these older ladies, they still have their brains fully with them. But yeah, it was so yeah, great show on HBO. I like other goofy, younger, funner, shows as well, but those are kind of the two that are hitting me. Hey, and I wanted to find out about Alaska Air. That part of the plane came off. I actually missed the whole thing and saw just like this picture
Yes.
of part.
So these Boeing Max 737 Max planes have been fraught with problems. There was basically an inactive door that had a plug that there were numerous alerts for that the crew did not, for whatever reason, the ground crew, the repair, they just went and turned the alarm off. And so repairs were not made to this door, and so the door came off mid-flight. They had gone so far as to ban this aircraft, not this specific aircraft, but a lot of these types of aircraft to doing longer haul flights like Alaska Air, or I'm sorry, Hawaii. Alaska Airlines had already put that policy in place. So that was very concerning, obviously. And that there had been alarms. Also, the flight recorders currently are only 2 hours. So they wrote over their own, being in a crisis. They weren't thinking, oh, let's get the black box recording, let's pause it so it doesn't write over it. No one's thinking that.
Mm,
They're thinking, let's survive, which is normal. So the FAA is looking at changing the policy, which I think needs to happen because these recorders are capable of capturing more than 2 hours and they shouldn't be
yeah,
writing over.
yeah.
So because of that, United Airlines and other airlines are actually making changes and inspecting things, have found loose bolts in their own planes. They're taking active steps. So the good news is this should and could make us safer and that no one was hurt. But the thing I found the most interesting is that an iPhone fell out of the plane. One of the iPhones that came out was found on the ground completely intact.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
17,000 feet, right? That's I saw that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And yet I can drop mine 5 feet and it cracks. But
Totally.
so I find it kind of amazing that this phone fell from this depth. And I'm something of an airline nerd, having grown up with my mother working for Continental, then United. Um, so I follow this kind of stuff, but the Max planes have been in the news in the worst possible way for a very long time. But I think the positive angle here is that every airline that has these planes is now checking the plugs, and these are basically plugs for doors that are not active that can apparently just fly out. But the other thing is that happened and they were able to divert and everyone was safe, probably shaken up, probably.
Was there a boy, a child who was like right next to the window and somehow was okay or something? What was I hearing about that? Was
I
I make
don't
that
know
up?
about specific. I haven't read anything about specific passengers. I just know there were no injuries aside from people's stuff getting sucked out because you've
That's good.
lost your air, your what's the term I'm thinking? You've lost the what you
Carry
need
on.
to. Yeah, yeah. So, but they've found debris. They've found, which again, amazing. It didn't hurt anybody. Like
Totally.
pieces of the plane, the door itself. They found all of it around Portland. So
Like you
it
said,
just
it's
shows
great.
you.
It's great that attention is being drawn to the condition of make sure that these planes don't have this type of issue in the future.
Well, and why were there alarms that just got turned off? Why was that the solution? Why, maybe there's new policies and procedures put into place that'll make us even safer because statistically it is the safest way to travel at this point in time versus a car versus a lot of other things. So
Yeah.
the other thing on my mind before we break is there's a new search engine. Yeah, there's a new search engine, and of course, as a seasoned search nerd, that's hot on my mind. It's called Perplexity. It
Yeah.
is backed. It is getting press because it's backed by Jeff Bezos. And so he's kind of made these comments like, we're coming for you, Google, and whatever. But the
Right.
thing is,
Right.
so is everyone. So is TikTok. So
Right.
so is local search on TikTok statistically with younger people is taking off. And that's something I said in my book years ago, is that empires rise and fall on the internet. Like nobody is the king forever. And so I think we've all been waiting for someone to unseat Google. I don't know that this is going to be it.
Right.
Um, but
Well,
from what I have read, I haven't tried it yet, but from what I've read, it's a combination of it's an AI search engine, so it's got chatbots and other sort of features that are supposed to make it more user friendly. I think as long as it gives people what they want when they want it, it'll be successful.
yeah, I mean, that's what my question was going to be, is like, what's so great about this particular thing from Bezos? Like, what makes it any different, But
Well, Bezos, number one.
right, right.
Number
I mean,
it
I'm
has
not.
AI. Come
I mean,
on.
if we wanted, we could have a 60-second segment on Bezos too, although it might be a little less interesting and more milk toast. But I mean, the bottom line ultimately with him is he has more money than God. He could be spending money on actually helping people with real world problems. I don't think that, I think Google's fine. I think that my Google search bar is fine. I think I actually just want to,
I'm not crying for Google. Yeah,
yeah.
antitrust suits all over the globe. They're not going anywhere. It's
Yeah,
just the market share is getting split, just like it has with TikTok coming on the scene. It's taken some
right.
market share from Facebook, and then, you know,
And from Google, maybe a little
and
bit.
then Facebook took some from Twitter with Threads. And I mean, this is kind of the thing is when we split our audiences and segment them and get more specific to groups, the winner is the consumer.
Theoretically, yes.
More choice, more
More
choice,
choice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
more
agree.
choice.
In principle, definitely. Whether or not the thing that, Zuckerberg or Bezos or whoever comes up with, their latest branded whatever, whether or not it actually is any better is, that's a different thing altogether. Love to see like brand new stuff from brand new people adding to the choice. But I know
Right,
that's different.
right. And I'm happy that Mastodon got a bump last year.
Yeah.
I still have my account. Have I been on it in months? No, but I
Yeah.
like that it's there. I dutifully signed up for Blue Sky. I signed up for Threads. I signed up for Spill. I signed up for every new social network that comes out because I'm just like, maybe this is the one.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Um, and that's all we can hope for as people of the internet.
All we can hope for as people of the internet is that something new and cool comes along and that, maybe we're an investor in it and we make money off of it someday. No, that's kind of kidding on that, but yeah, it would be nice.
Maybe that's our goal for this year. Get more computery, $1 billion a month. I'll
So
get
that we
right on that.
so that we can eventually, have other computers we can throw away and put in a basement of an insane asylum and put computer AF on the top of it. Anyway, that's
It's gonna happen. It's not if, it's when. So thank you everyone for indulging us in our internet whimsies, and we'll see
the
you next
internet.
week.
Yep. See you next week for more internet bric-a-brac.
Bric-a-brac.
Take care, everyone. See ya.